In this video, we're going to cover sequences. In this chapter, we're going to cover sequences in series. This is the only section that we talk about sequences. The rest is going to talk about a series. So we're only going to spend a little bit of time here, but let's run through what a sequence is. A sequence is just a list of numbers. So here's an example of a sequence. It's just your counting numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we stopped it here, this would be finite. If we kept going all the way to infinity, this would be infinite. This is the first term of the sequence, so a sub 1 is the first term. We plug in our 1 into our function and we get 1. And we'll go over that down here. This is the second term, so a sub 2, I plug in 2 to my n and I get 2, and so forth and so on. Now a sequence can be anything. It could be even numbers, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. My a sub n here would be 2n. So when I plug in 1, I get 2. So a sub 1 is 2, which it is. When I plug in 2, I get 4, which I do. That's my second term, and so forth and so on. So a sequence is just a list of terms. A series will be when we add up all the terms of the sequence. So if you recall a little bit from pre-calculus, we did something like this, where we're adding up all the terms. So this would be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus ... And what we are going to work on in this course, basically the majority of this class is about series. We are going to determine if a series converges or diverges. So when I add up all these terms, does it go to a value or does it diverge to infinity? Is it just going to keep growing? So that's where most of our time will be spent. But let's run through sequences in this video here. So for 1, 2, and 3, we are providing you with the function. All you need to do is come up with the terms of the sequence. So I would start off with a sub 1. A sub 1, this is going to stay negative. So 3 minus 1 is 2. A sub 2, you'll start to see a pattern as you do this. You get 4 because it becomes positive. And then you can pretty much figure out the pattern here based on whether or not n is odd or even. For number 2, again, we have an alternating sequence. So we have negative 1. For the first power, it will become negative, so we get negative 1/2. A sub 2 would be positive 2/3. A sub 3, we get negative 3/4. A sub 4, you get 4/5. And then a sub 5, you get negative 5/6. And then the last one, we have factorial. We do a lot with factorials in this course. Remember factorial, 5 factorial would be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. A lot of times when we work with factorials, n plus 1 factorial over, let's say, n factorial, you need to work with the larger number first. So I would rewrite the top one. So this is n plus 1. If you bring it down by 1, you get n, and then n factorial over n factorial. That would cancel. But they just want the terms, so this would be a sub 1. You get 1. A sub 2, you're also going to get 1 because we get 2 factorial over 2. 2 times 1 over 2, we get 1. A sub 3 is 2. A sub 4 is 6. And then a sub 5 is 24. So we need to determine if a sequence converges or diverges. There's only one test for sequences. The rest of the chapter we're going to spend on all the different tests for series. There's about, I forget, but maybe 7, 8, or 9 tests for series. But for sequence, there's only one test. And it's simply going to be the limit as n goes to infinity of a sub n equals L. So it can equal anything. It can equal 1/2. It can equal 1. It can equal 0. I just need to figure out if that sequence is converging. So for example, if we had, let's say, 1/2, a 4th, an 8th, a 16th, a 32nd, a 64, ... and I called this a sub n, I could say the limit as n goes to infinity of a sub n, it is going towards 0. Just look at the values. It's getting smaller and smaller. It's never going to reach there, right? So we need to use a limit, but we're going to say that it is approaching 0. We could also look at this in terms of a graph. So let's say this is 1. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit, but if this is a sub 1, it's at a half. A sub 2 is at a quarter. A sub 3 is at an eighth. A sub 4 is at a 16th. So you get this horizontal asymptote at 0. So it is approaching 0. So if we simply do the limit as n goes to infinity and we get a value, that means that it's approaching that value. So this says determine if it converges or diverges. So one way you could do it, I suppose, you could list out the terms of the sequence and sort of look at it and make a decision as to where it's converging. But really, we really could just do a limit. So we could say the limit as n goes to infinity of a sub n. If we get a value, then it is converging. This one's kind of weird, but we do know that it's going to oscillate back and forth. So this would diverge. This one we did already, right? We did a sub 1. We said was 2. Then it was 4. A sub 2 was 4. A sub 3 was 2. A sub 4 is 4. So this is 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, dot, dot, dot. So it's definitely not converging. It's bouncing back and forth. So we would say this diverges. For this one, I'm going to say the limit as n goes to infinity, n over 1 minus 2n. We're doing limits at infinity. So we look at the coefficients because the powers are the same. So in this case, we're going to get negative 1/2. So we would say that it converges. For this one, we've got the limit. As n goes to infinity, we have n squared over 2 to the nth minus 1. This will equal 0. Let's just refresh real quick. Remember, when you're at infinity, you can always talk about growth rates. And I think last year we talked about square roots and logs as the slowest. And we put like a polynomial. So that's like x squared. And then we did exponential. This year we're going to work with factorials more, and factorials are actually the strongest, so that would go there. Determine if the sequence converges or diverges. So again, we're going to do the limit as n goes to infinity. ln of n over n, this just goes to 0 because I have a log on the top and I have a polynomial on the bottom. This one, we've got the limit as n goes to infinity. N plus 1 factorial over n factorial. I'm going to simplify this, so we get the limit as n goes to infinity. The top is n plus 1, n factorial over n factorial. Cancel, cancel. Now when I plug in, this diverges. And then for number 6, we've got the limit as n goes to infinity. N plus 1 factorial. Again, you want to bring down the larger one, so n plus 3. Come down by 1, n plus 2. Come down by 1, n plus 1 factorial. We will stop there. So this would cancel. Now when you plug in, you're going to get 0, so this converges. So some properties of limits and sequences. All this is saying is that if you have two separate limits, so for example, you could break this up, meaning that if I did the limit as n goes to infinity of a sub n, and that equals L, and I did the limit as n goes to infinity of b sub n, and that goes to k, if I was adding the two limits together, I could simply add the value that it's converging to. So we could just say L plus K, and that's all that that's really saying. So like for number 2, this is saying some constant times, I could take out the constant. We could do the limit as n goes to infinity of some sequence. If I get a value, I can take that value and multiply it by this C. Squeeze theorem, we did this last year a little bit. I know that we struggled with it, but a squeeze theorem says that if we know the limit of, let's say, a sub n. So I'm going to draw a sub n up top. So let's say we knew a sub n converged to 0. So this is a sub n. So limit as n goes to infinity of a sub n equals 0. So we knew that. Let's say I had another sequence, or I had another limit here, another function, and this went like that. So we could say the limit as n goes to infinity of b sub n, that also equals 0. Let's say we had a third function, so c sub n, but we knew nothing about it. So c sub n, with the exception was that it was sandwiched between the two functions. So all I know about c is that it's in here somewhere. It's always going to be less than a sub n, but bigger than b sub n. So we can make the conclusion, the limit as n goes to infinity of c sub n also equals 0. That's what the squeeze theorem says. So all we would need to do is show that c sub n is smaller than a sub n, but bigger than b sub n for all terms. If I could find the limit of a sub n, if I could find the limit of b sub n, and they are the same, then I know that c sub n is going to be sandwiched between, so I can make the conclusion that the limit of c sub n as n goes to infinity is also 0. So let's see if we can apply the squeeze theorem. This is asking us to show that the sequence converges and to find its limit. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to state that this sequence here is always less than or equal to 1 over n factorial. And the reason we do that is because we know this limit. So I could say the limit as n goes to infinity of 1 over n factorial equals 0. So let's just take a look at this real quick. So this will always be less than or equal to this, because if this is negative, so if I plug in 1 or 3 or 5, it comes out negative. When I multiply by this, it will always be less than that. If it's positive, it will just be the same. So this is a true statement. And then I need to show the other side of it, that this is always the case as well, because we can also say that the limit as n goes to infinity of negative 1 over n factorial also equals 0. So let's take a look at this in here. If this is odd, this is negative, so this would be equal to this. So that's the equal portion of it. If this is even, this is positive, this will always be greater than that. So I squeezed this between these two functions, and I know the limit of each of these two functions as I go to infinity. It both goes to 0. So we can say that the limit as n goes to infinity, negative 1 to the nth power, 1 over n factorial, also equals 0 by the squeeze theorem. For number 8, they're asking us to find the a sub n that represents these terms in the sequence. So the best way to do this is to relate these to n. What do I mean by that? Well, I know that a sub 1 is equal to 2 over 1. A sub 2 is 3 over root 2. A sub 3 is 4 over root 3. We want to see how the pattern evolves based off of n. I could even do this. So it looks like it's going 2, 3, 4, 5 in the numerator. The denominator are all square roots, because if I did a sub 4, we would get 5 over root 4, which is the 5 over 2. So my a sub n, again, we want it in terms of n. It's going to be n plus 1 over n factorial. So let's just double check it. If I plug in 1, I get 2, and I would get 2 over 1, which is the first term. If I plugged in 2, I get 2 plus 1, which is 3 over square root of 2. That's fine. If I did a sub 4, let's do that one. You're going to get 5 over square root of 4, which is 5 over 2, which is that term. So the trick to this is really just to figure out how it relates with respect to n. This one is a little bit more tricky, but as we spend more time in this class on factorials, you'll notice that these are factorials. 1 factorial is 1, 2 factorial is 2, 3 factorial is 6, 4 factorial is 6 times 4, which is 24. 5 factorial is 24 times 5, which is 120. So just be familiar with those values. So my a sub n here, now this also alternates. So it's going negative 1 I'm sorry, negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive. So we're going to get -1. The first term is negative, so we're going to put to the nth power. And then it's simply going to be over n factorial. But let's just confirm it. So a sub 1 would be -1 to the first over 1, which is just -1. A sub 2 would be -1 squared, which makes it positive, over 2 factorial, so we get 1 over 2. A sub 3 would be -1 cubed, so it's odd again, and then 3 factorial, which is -1 over 6, so that looks good. So that's my a sub n. And then the last one, find a sequence, determine the value, and if it converges or diverges. So this one's a little trickier. It definitely alternates, so we can definitely start with a sub n is equal to -1 to the nth power. The bottom is the factorials. This is 1 factorial, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that works out there. Now we just need to figure out the pattern of the top. So 2, 8. All right, so I'm seeing it because it's definitely a variation of 3 to some power, because 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27, 3 to the 4th is 81, 3 to the 5th is 243, and 3 to the 1st is 3. So I'm thinking this is 3 to the nth power, but it's 1 less than that. And again, once you get your a sub n, just go back and check a few terms. If I did a sub 3, let's do a sub 3. It's going to be negative, and then we get 3 cubed, which is 27. 27 minus 1 is 26 over 3 factorial, which is 3 times 2, which is 6. A sub 4, I'll do one more. We're going to get positive. 3 to the 4th is 81. 81 minus 1 over 4 factorial. This would give me 80, and then 4 times 3 times 2. So I get 80 over 24, which is, in fact, the 4th term.